Hello and welcome to the Glasgow Rangers Nation Sunday supplement with me, your host, Owen, the channel that brings you your team every single day, guys, as we've seen over the last couple of days. Thank you for your phenomenal support for the videos. Videos have been absolutely fantastic. Subs have grown. Channel is doing so well. It's all down to your amazing support. So let's deal with, you know what, it is time again for every man, his dog, his hamster, his chicken, his elephants, rabbits, cousins, sisters, chinchilla-in-law. So, look, I understand that it's frustrating. I get that, look, and maybe it is time just to concentrate on something concrete. But there is news out there. There is stuff going on. There is talk of what Rangers are up to at this moment in time. How true it is, like I said, we always have to take everything the media say with a tiny pinch of salt. Now, look, this situation is, well, it's quite crazy, really, what is going on at Rangers at this moment in time. Now, look, all the talk that's coming out of the club that I'm hearing is very much around the fact that Rangers need a striker, that Rangers need a left back. Now, according to a lot of the sources around the club, that is the top two priorities that Niels Koppen and Philippe Clement are currently working on. However, I don't think that means they're ruling out, moving for any other players. I really do think that, looking at, if other players were to become available, the players who they would think would actually improve or add to the squad, like wingers, like central midfield players, I don't think for 1 minute they would refuse to even look at those players or refuse to even sign those players. That's not how they work. At the end of the day, what Niels Koppen and Philippe Clement want is the best for this club. They want this club to move forward. They want to sign players who are going to improve the squad. Now, the story that was talked about in the media over the last few days has been the story of Ridvan, little Mr. Ridvan Yilmaz and his future. Now, Ridvan has come into the squad team recently and played quite well over the last 3 to 4 games, hasn't he? He's done a decent job for Rangers. He really has. He's actually looked like the player that we thought we were getting when we signed him. This season he's made 13 appearances in the Premiership and has 1 assist. He's played 45% of the starting 11s, 48% of the minutes, and has a 2% goal contribution. In the League Cup, he's made 1 appearance and scored 1 goal. So his appearances have only come in the League Cup and obviously in the league. He was left out of the European squad in Michael Beale's infinite wisdom. I see Michael Beale did his usual today, going into a high-profile derby game, managed to bottle that the way he used to bottle all the Celtic ones as well. That's where Ridvan is currently statistics-wise. Now, Ridvan has played well. Ridvan has looked good the last few games. Has really grown into it, hasn't he? The one thing I'd say though about Ridvan is it's a major worry, isn't it? The amount of times he gets injured, the amount of times that he's out with an injury issue that keeps him out. In terms of his time at Rangers, he's made 29 appearances, 1 goal, 4 assists. He hasn't, exactly pulled up any trees, has he? He hasn't really, in terms of actually played a lot of games. Injury has really curtailed his time at the club. If we go back to last season, he made 4 appearances in the Premiership and then 5 appearances in the post-top 6 split, 2 appearances in the SFA Cup, 1 appearance in the Champions League, 1 appearance in the League Cup, and 1 appearance in the Champions League qualifying rounds. So, altogether, last season, a very unimpressive amount of games played by Ridvan Yilmaz. I think what we added up 7, 11, 12, 14 games, 15 games in total. Now, he's already played he's getting on for played more than that, but it is injury that holds him back, and that is something we do need to address. We don't need as many injured players as we currently have. Now, according to the media, and again, it's Italian sports papers reporting this, and I know they're like British papers. They can take everything, blow it out of all sense of proportion. But it looks like the deal to sign Ridvan Yilmaz is pretty much a done deal. Now, according to the papers, according to the rumours that are going round, Hellas Verona have agreed a £3 million transfer fee with Rangers for for the services of Ridvan Yilmaz. Now, if this is true, this represents some really bad business by the club. Now, a lot of people talk about Ridvan costing 5 million. He didn't cost 5 million. He cost 3.5 million, rising to 5 million if certain criteria were met. Now, the worrying thing seems to be that there is a rumor that there is a sell-on clause within his contract, meaning Besiktas will get a percentage of the transfer fee. So, if it is as they say, and we're only getting 3 million for him, and we lose, say, 20%, 30% to Besiktas, this would not be bringing the amount of money we first thought. And I think, again, would be some really bad business by the club. If you're selling players on, you either sell them on to break even or you sell them on for a profit. And this would certainly not represent a positive deal, especially, if there is sell-on clauses in these players' contracts. You would then therefore lose a large percentage of that transfer fee to the club that he came from. But it does look like Ridvan to Hellas Verona is a done deal, according to a lot of reports in the media this morning. Now, it's therefore talked about Josh Doig to Rangers. Now, before we talk about Josh Doig to Rangers, which obviously is a possibility, I think, look, for me, I'd want to see more money for Ridvan than 3 million. Do I think he's indispensable? No. Do I think he is the answer at left back long term? No. Do I think that he's better than Borna Barisic? Yes, I do. And that will get me some criticism. I know it will, because there's all the Borna fans out there. There's still some Borna fanboys. I got a bit of criticism yesterday for criticising and calling out Borna Barisic. I think the situation is this. Look, I'm not saying that Borna Barisic has always been a bad player. That Borna Barisic is awful. He's terrible. That he's a blight on this club. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying about him is he's getting older. He's not getting any quicker. He is, in terms of his ability, going backwards as well. He's not showing the same levels of ability that he showed previously, particularly during the 55 season. So for me, it's time to move him on. Time to try and, if we can, get a bit of money in January. If not, obviously, we allow him to leave in the summer. Look, this is what it is. Look, Borna Barisic is not a young man. I think he's 31, 32. He's only going to get slower, and he's only going to lose even more pace, which he has not got to lose. To me, you can't keep players with the same club for year upon year upon year upon year. Those days are over. Those days are done. The days of being a one club man are done and dusted. That's never going to happen again. That is not a situation that is going to occur again. In modern football, you find that many teams, will will shift players on at the drop of a hat now. It's not a case that they keep them for their entire careers. John Gregor, one club man. That's not going to happen again. That just isn't going to happen anymore. Players will move around, and it's time to refresh the defence. When Borna goes, I don't know, but look, if Ridvan is going as it has been rumoured, then I don't think we should shift him on. I think there is a risk, therefore we have to let him go for nothing in the summer. We can't, I think, afford to end up. We're not going to buy 2 left backs. That's just not going to happen. If we're going to probably get one. Who that is, who knows? Kai Wagner's available on a free. That could be a good deal. I talked to you yesterday, didn't I, on the video about Smal from Twente Ascenda. It's him, Oppegaard from PSV. There is a whole host of names. Now, one name a lot of Rangers fans are interested in is Josh Doig, the former Hibs player who moved to Hellas Verona for 3 million. Shame we couldn't have got him then. And he's now obviously available for around 5.2 million now. However, it looks like any deal for Ridvan will not be a swap deal. Now, this does seem a little bit weird, given the fact that, according to reports in Italy, Torino of Turin are the leading club to get their hands on Josh Doig for a player plus cash. Now, if this is true, why are Rangers not getting in there and trying to hijack this deal? Now, I know that Torino are interested. I know that Leeds United are also interested in England. There is competition for his signature. I really do hope that he is someone we are competing for. I rate him more highly than Smal. I rate him more highly than Oppegaard. I rate him more highly than Wagner. If it is that Ridvan is moving on, that Josh Doig could be the perfect replacement for him. He's a big physical guy. He gets forward. He's good in the tackle. He's someone who he's Scottish. He understands the Scottish game. He can hit the ground running if he comes back. So for me, that would be something that I would be looking at. However, it does look increasingly unlikely, and it looks like Torino could be his destination. But look, that's the situation with Ridvan. It looks like it's a done deal. It looks like it's going to go through. Look, I'd love to know how you feel about that. Let me know in the comments below. I am trying to catch up on the comments, by the way. I am doing my very best to catch up on the comments. Now, remember we were linked with this guy here, Million Manhoef, or Manhoef, whatever, however you pronounce his name. Now, I always like to try and follow up on stories where I can to keep you up to date with all the goings on at Rangers and all the goings on with the players that Rangers were interested in. Now, Million Manhoef is currently with Vitesse Arnhem in Holland. And according to, obviously, if you look at the Eredivisie table, and you look at where they currently sit in the Eredivisie table, Vitesse Arnhem are rock bottom of the league and at risk of being relegated. So, there is a real chance that they could go down. Their form in the last 5 is very poor. Only 1 win in the last 5 games. Now, according to their sporting director and their owner, they are blocking any move away from the club for Million Manhoef in January. Now, the reason for this is that they have said that if Manhoef was allowed to leave in January, that would virtually, in their words, guarantee Vitesse's relegation. What they said was Vitesse Arnhem will veto any deal to take Manhoef to Rangers because it will result in relegation. I mean, what a lot of pressure on such a young guy to say this is all down to him, that he is the guy who is keeping them up and will keep them up. Interesting, isn't it? Vitesse Arnhem have had interest from Spain and England and obviously from Rangers in Million Manhoef. Manhoef is a player who can play right wing, he can play left wing, he can play left wing back. Is a very talented player. But it does seem that any move for him will be blocked by Vitesse Arnhem. However, they have not ruled out allowing him to leave in the summer once the future is known for the club. But it certainly will not come before then. So that is a move that looks likely to not go ahead because of the club are blocking it. So just wanted to update you on that perspective move. Now, obviously, as well, Rangers have been linked with this pair from Nottingham Forest, Scott McKenna and Emmanuel Dennis, who is currently on loan in Turkey. Scott McKenna, who is, a Celtic fan, was rumoured to be interesting Celtic. Now, Celtic apparently have pulled out of the race to sign Scott McKenna, according to reports again this morning. Nuno Espirito Santo, who is the new Nottingham Forest manager, has deemed both McKenna and Dennis as surplus to requirements, as he is keen to move players on, to raise funds, to sign players, and also clear the squad out a little bit. Their squad is like ours, very much bloated with 33 players in it. McKenna hasn't been interested in McKenna hasn't been put into the squad. He's been obviously told that he can leave in January. Now, according to a couple of reports this morning, Celtic are not interested in any way, shape, or form in signing him, which meaning obviously that Rangers could be interested. It is believed that McKenna is keen to return to Scotland and to get first team football because he is very much concerned that he will not be involved in the national team in the European Championships if he is not playing first team football somewhere. So it does seem that he is very interested in a move to Scotland. Personally, I would steer well clear of him. I don't think he's any better than what we've got. I don't think he adds a great deal. I think there are better players out there we could get our hands on. So for me, it would be a definite no-go. Now, it has been strong. It's been reported, hasn't it, that Emmanuel Dennis is linked with Rangers. Now, according to a lot of what I've heard, read, investigated, as regards Dennis, that noise about him being interested in a move to Rangers is coming solely from him and not from Rangers. Dennis has said that he is interested. I think there's a little bit of lazy journalism to some extent. The fact that he was at Bruges when Clement was there, there's a bit of a cross path there. We need a winger. He's a winger, etc., etc. He was asked about Rangers. He said, yes, he would like to come here. I think it's a bit of lazy journalism, in my opinion. Now, I've looked at Emmanuel Dennis. I've gone away. I've checked out the guy. and his stats. I'm not convinced. I'm, as Curry said on the podcast this morning, very underwhelmed by his stats. Very underwhelmed by him as a player. He's had his successes certainly, but in recent times he's really struggled for numbers, for goals, for assists. I mean, this season in the Turkish Super League, he's made 8 appearances, but has not scored, has not assisted anything. He's only played in 27% of their starting 11s and played 25% of the minutes this season. If you look back across his career and his time with different clubs, again, it's not hugely impressive in terms of his facts and his stats. I'm just going to have a quick look at, talk you through some of these stats that we've got now. Emmanuel Dennis is 26 years old. So it's not like he's going to develop and get any better. Last season in the Premier League, he made 19 appearances, 2 goals, 2 assists. EFL Cup, 5 appearances, 1 assist. FA Cup, 1 appearance, no goals or assists. In 21-22, he made 33 appearances, scoring 10 goals and 6 assists. So that is a bit better. 16 goal contributions in 33 is decent. And he can play in a whole host of positions. If you go back, even further back across his time there, 2021 in the Bundesliga, 9 appearances, 1 assist. Go back to 1920 in the Belgian league at Bruges, 20 appearances, 5 goals, 1 assist. He's had that one good season, yes, when he was with Watford in 21-22, which I think sort of persuaded Nottingham Forest to part with the money they did for him. But he's not got a glowing record. When he's played up front, he scored 21 in 72. Again, it's very hit and miss. I'm not overly impressed with Emmanuel Dennis. I looked into his facts, his figures, his stats. He's not, for me, the sort of player that we need. I think there are other options out there. I'm not impressed with Dennis in the slightest. He's certainly one that I would rule out and say no to, along with Scott McKenna. Like I said, he's had one good season, and look, we know that is not a good thing to do. Lam has had one good season. Dess has had one good season. It's a dangerous route to go down. You've got to be finding players who are producing consistently. Lauren Shankland, for example. You can't just be relying on players who, a couple of seasons ago were really good. And hopefully, you never know, if we work with them, they might get back to that. That, for me, is simply not the answer. But I said, let me know what you think. I'd love to know what you think about that story. This is a key period for the club. We are moving into the January through the January transfer window. We've obviously got the winter break. We fly out to Spain. This is a key period for the club to really try to embed this Philippe Clement revolution at the club, to get the players in that he needs, to build this team up as much as he can this season. And like I said on the podcast this morning, there is, I think, a clear desire by Rangers to decide what is a now problem and what is a summer problem, and deal with those independently of each other. Let's obviously we'll keep you across all the stories coming out of the training camp, all the stories coming out of the January transfer window. I want to provide you with a few updates that I found out from doing a bit of research today and tonight. Thanks for watching Glasgow Rangers Nation. As always, guys, if you enjoyed the content, please hit the sub, ring that notification bell. On the way out, 2 things as always. Number 1, smash the like. And number 2, remember always, we are the people.